Hi class, this is our last PowerPoint together, and today we'll be talking about building reflective guidance in your classroom. And really this is kind of an overview of all 10 weeks of the term and the areas that I think are most important as you move forward with implementing social emotional learning. We started the term with thinking about how we can use self-reflection to strengthen the classroom climate and the social emotional skills both of ourselves as well as the children in our classrooms. And I think that we have all come to the conclusion that it's most important that the adults in the child's life are self-regulated, well-regulated, in order to be able to model and teach for children how to be well-regulated. It is crucial that the teachers in every classroom, this is a goal that we would like to get to someday, that teachers in every classroom understand the importance of their own behavior and the way that they handle conflict as a way to teach children on a daily basis. So one of the things that we haven't talked as much about is how important it is to design your own personal social emotional learning practice. And this can be as simple or as elaborate as you would like it to be. But I have found in personal experience and the many teachers that I have worked with over the years that when we can start our days with our own practice of becoming self-regulated for the day goes much better for us and for our children. And there are three things that are really crucial to start, and that is some deep breathing to bring all that extra oxygen to our brains and to help us focus on the moment. Some relaxation, and that can look for each individual person differently, but again, a way to bring us to a place where we feel relaxed before we go into the classroom rather than stressed. And then some sort of reflection on whatever is important to us at the moment. It might be a certain conflict behavior that is happening. It might be just wanting to connect more with each student. It'll be different for every teacher. But if you can start your day with a short social emotional learning practice that you design for yourself, I really believe that you will find it has great benefit. And once we get into that place, and for you who are sort of wrapping up your school year, this might be something you think about over the summer and start in the fall semester with a new class of students. But once we feel that we are ready to go in terms of social emotional learning, then we can begin to teach children how to reflect. And one way to do that with transitional kindergarten or kindergarten students is just to start statements with, remember when, and then fill in what it is you want them to remember and have as a way to teach them a new skill or to reinforce an old skill. So it might look something like, remember when a couple of you were upset on the playground because there weren't enough balls for everyone. And then go in and talk about ways to solve that kind of an issue. Remember when Mary came to school and she was sad and we all helped her feel better by sending well wishes to her, or whatever skill you want to teach them. So that's a great way to begin helping children learn these social emotional skills. We know that there are certain things that go into a really well-regulated classroom. Of course, for me, I'll just say personally, the emotional climate of the classroom is key. We need to model and teach those self-regulation strategies really every day, all year long. It can't be a drop-in kind of a situation. It really needs to be that we use our everyday activities and everyday conflicts to teach these skills. The social climate is equally as important, and it is up to us to model and teach empathy and community building. And we have learned many ways this term that we can do that through all of the SEL programs that we've reviewed, articles that we've read, videos that we've watched, discussions that we've had on Blackboard. So I hope and I believe that you have lots of strategies to move forward. In the classroom, space, as you know, is very important, especially with the little ones. I really encourage you to consider designing a safe place and teaching your children, your students, how to use that safe place. Actually, if I could just take a moment to say, a safe place at home with your own children is also a great idea. And it should not be a place that you send children like you send them to your room. It can be a beanbag in the corner of the living room where maybe you can go sit and read in the living room and the child can take some time to regroup, but still be with you. And then finally, rituals and routines. Our brains are pattern seeking. We like to have patterns and routines in our daily lives, and children really need that to be self-regulated. So if you can think of rituals and routines to help teach and strengthen your classroom social-emotional learning skills, that's a great thing. One place to go for that, and I've mentioned this in several different areas, is on the Conscious Discipline website. If you go to an area called Schubert's Classroom, it's an interactive site with, I don't know, hundreds of ideas to put some things in place. And again, you don't have to buy anything or attend any training. You can simply use the strategies. Teaching essential life skills. I want us to remember every day that play is the way that children this age learn. And so when we can use structured and unstructured play as opportunities to teach, we are meeting the children where they are, and they will get the most from our teaching. And also remind us that when we can, to play with our students, not just observe them playing, but they love to have the teacher play with them and show that silly side when we can. And then also to remember to use the arts to teach. So some ideas are to read social emotional learning books, and on our open resource room site we have a list of great social emotional learning books, so you might check there. You can dance to music that is also teaching skills. The Conscious Discipline site has wonderful CDs. There is one called It Starts in the Heart that is my very favorite. Sometimes I just sing the songs because they're fun to sing with my grandchildren, or sometimes just in the car by myself. And also, young children are not afraid to role play. So if you can use role play to work out classroom issues, bring a couple of children up, encourage them to take a part in the conflict and by role playing, and then strategize some solutions. That's a great way to teach some conflict resolution. We can choose to view challenging behavior as an opportunity to teach and as an opportunity to strengthen children's and our own social emotional skills. So if there's maybe one thing that I would love for you to take away from all of our experiences together, it is that children learn when you teach, not when you punish. Unfortunately, so many classrooms still have rewards and punishments as the guidance system, and sometimes a particular school or a particular district adopts something. You have to have the tree on the wall, and every child gets an apple, and if your apple falls off the tree, you can't go on the field trip, or you can't go to recess, or I'm going to call your parent. But it's we might call it guidance, but it's really punishment. But when we can teach the skills that they need to be able to make good decisions, that's when they're really learning, not when we're punishing them. So I'd like you to consider thinking about removing rewards and punishments from your behavior management plan. And if your district says you have to have them, leave them in place. And when you can, replace rewards and punishments with elements of building a school family. And we had I believe, a video and a PowerPoint on school family. There are also books. Many of the social emotional learning programs that we have learned about, the authors have written books. A Responsive Classroom has books, wonderful, wonderful books. Conscious Discipline has wonderful books. I believe several of the others do as well. And then teaching problem-solving skills at every possible opportunity. So instead of, as I said, a punishment, which might look like, a check next to your name on the whiteboard, taking that moment to teach a skill so that the child makes a better choice next time. Because I can promise you, when you put their name on the board and put a check next to it, they have not learned anything other than to feel badly about themselves. And that's not our goal. When I was designing this class, several of your previous instructors said to me, what the students really, really want in this class is strategies and activities to use in the classroom. So while we have learned about theory and we've read some research articles, what I really hope is that you feel like you have some tools in your toolbox when you need to deal with specific issues. So occasionally you might want to review your favorite activities from the SEL presentations this term. And then think about, how can I introduce one activity a week? You're not going to do this all overnight, just like you didn't learn how to become a teacher overnight. You might want to keep a journal to note what works and what needs adjustment. So maybe you try using the safe place, and at first it doesn't seem to be working well. Children are just going there whenever they want to. So what adjustments do you need to make? Maybe you need to go back in and teach how to use the safe place, which you need to do before you have children choosing to go there as well. You probably don't need to actually write out lesson plans anymore, but if you can plan social emotional lesson plans that are fun for children, that's the way that they're going to learn those skills. And again, having fun with your students is paramount. I'm not going to spend too much time here because this whole class has been about building relationships. So important to model relationships with the other adults at the school that are positive relationships, and show how to be self-regulated and address conflicts appropriately. You know how important it is to build relationships with families, and of course building relationships with your students. And I really encourage you to figure out a way to connect with each child every single day, so that you take a moment to look into the child's face and really have a heart-to-heart connection, even if it's for 5 seconds. A child feels that, and it builds that relationship so that they want to do what you're asking them to do in the classroom. One of my favorite phrases is, cooperation always follows connection. So if we want the children in our classroom to cooperate with us and with each other and at home, first there has to be a strong connection. And as the teacher, as the adult, it's up to you to figure out how to make that connection with your child every day. So final thoughts. You have to make social emotional learning a priority, and you have to figure out how to integrate it throughout your day. And there are many, many ways to integrate social emotional learning into Common Core activities. don't forget the foundations, and you can, if you're dealing with a specific situation and you're not sure where to go, you can always go back into the preschool foundations and look at those strands and substrands, and get some ideas about how to move forward. And then finally, remember that I am still available to you as your instructor and as your assistant dean in the College of Education for questions, or if you just want to have an email or a phone conversation about something, please reach out to me. I'm very, very happy to continue to work with you as you build your social emotional program in your classroom. Thank you for a wonderful term, and I wish you well.